My family tried forcing me to sell my house to save my sister. I refused, and everything changed. 3 months ago, I watched my parents destroy a stranger's living room with a baseball bat, thinking it was mine. That moment made me realize the most toxic people in your life can be the ones you share blood with. I'm telling you this story because maybe some of you are dealing with family pressure too. Maybe you'll see yourself in what happened to me. 6 years ago, I was 28 and living in a studio apartment that was basically a closet. Every morning, I'd wake up and remind myself why I was doing this. Why I ate ramen for dinner most nights. Why I took the bus everywhere. Why my clothes came from thrift stores. I was saving $150,000 for a house. For 4 years, I worked my regular job and freelanced on weekends while my friends went out. Late nights debugging code until my eyes burned. Every dollar counted. Because I'd found it. The perfect 3-bedroom house with hardwood floors and a kitchen where morning sunlight poured through the windows. Every Saturday, I went to my parents' house for dinner. Mom would make her famous pot roast. Dad would complain about his knees, but secretly love having both daughters at the table. My older sister Jessica would show up with her husband Derek, who was always chasing the next big money-making idea. That October Saturday felt different the moment I walked in. Jessica and Derek were whispering in the corner. Mom kept giving me these weird looks. Dad couldn't meet my eyes during his usual rants about the neighbors. I had photos of the house ready on my phone. I was excited to share my news with my family. Then Mom said, "Jessica has something important to share with everyone." What happened next still makes my stomach drop. Jessica didn't just tell us about her new business idea. She gave us a full presentation. Printed charts, graphs, revenue projections. This was her third business attempt. Her previous 2 had crashed so badly that my parents had to refinance their house to cover her debts. "I've learned from my mistakes," she said, eyes bright with that desperate optimism I'd seen before. "I just need $150,000 for initial investment and marketing." That's when everyone turned to look at me. "Why is everyone staring at me?" I asked, though part of me already knew. Jessica's voice got soft and pleading. "I know you're saving for a house." Mom added, "You have about $150,000 saved, right?" The room went silent except for my heartbeat pounding in my ears. They'd discussed my money. They'd calculated exactly how much I was worth to them. "Jessica, I'm not investing my house money in your business." The words came out harsher than I meant, but I was shocked by their audacity. This wasn't a small favor. This was my entire future. They wanted me to gamble on Jessica's track record of business failures. Jessica's face crumpled. "But if you invest now, in 3 years I'll pay you back $300,000. Then you could buy an even better house." I actually laughed. The woman who'd failed twice was asking me to trust her with my life savings based purely on optimism. "Jessica, you've already failed twice. Maybe it's time to get a regular job like everyone else." Everything exploded after that. Jessica burst into tears and ran out. Derek called me cruel and followed her, and my parents, the people who'd raised me for 28 years, turned on me like I was the villain. "How could you be so cruel to your sister?" Mom's voice cut through me. "Jessica is more talented than you'll ever be. You're just jealous." "Jealous? Of what?" "The bankruptcies. The creditors calling at all hours." But Dad delivered the final blow. "Either give Jessica the money, or you're no longer part of this family." I looked at these strangers wearing my parents' faces and realized I'd never been their daughter. I was just a bank account. "I'm not giving her my money," I said quietly. "Then leave and don't come back." So I did. I walked out, went home to my tiny apartment, and changed my phone number the next day. 1 year later, I bought that house. The same beautiful craftsman with the morning sunlight in the kitchen. I set up my home office in the spare bedroom, and finally understood what peace felt like. No more walking on eggshells at Saturday dinners. No more hearing about Jessica's schemes. No more being treated like an ATM. Through mutual friends, I heard Jessica's business actually succeeded this time. She bought a big house, traveled with Derek, posted photos of their lifestyle on social media. I was genuinely happy for her. But I had no regrets about protecting my future. Those 6 years without them were peaceful. I grew in my career, learned to enjoy my own company, built a life that felt truly mine. I even met someone, Michael, an incredible guy from a professional networking group. He lived 2 states away, but we made it work because he was everything my family never was. Kind, steady, supportive. Someone who valued me for who I was, not what I could give. Michael and I started seriously discussing a future together. I was even considering selling my house to move to his state. Then I got an email that changed everything. It came to my old email account that I barely checked anymore. The sender's name made my stomach drop. Mom, we need to see you urgently. It's life or death. Please come home. Despite everything, they'd raised me. I needed to know if someone was dying. I replied, I'll come this Saturday. Saturday morning. I sat in my car outside their house for 10 minutes, trying to find courage. The neighborhood looked smaller and shabbier than I remembered. But what really caught my eye were the cars in the driveway. Jessica's brand new Porsche and Derek's spotless Mercedes. This wasn't just about my parents. It was a family ambush. Mom answered the door looking older, with new lines around her eyes. Thank you for coming, she whispered. Everyone was in the living room. Dad in his usual chair looking grim. Jessica on the couch next to Derek, her eyes red. They all looked scared. What's going on? I stayed standing. Your email said life or death. Mom started crying immediately. It's about Jessica. She's in serious trouble. I looked at my sister, who couldn't meet my eyes. What kind of trouble? Dad cleared his throat. Her business failed 3 months ago. The bank took her house. She owes money to dangerous people. I felt vindicated and sad at the same time. Vindicated because I'd been right. Sad because losing your home is awful, even if it's the result of your own choices. I'm sorry to hear that, I said carefully. But what does this have to do with me? Jessica finally spoke, barely a whisper. I owe $200,000 to private investors. They're not the kind of people who accept payment plans. Derek added, they've been calling with threats. They know where we're staying. We're scared. I felt sorry for them, but I still didn't understand why I was here. That's terrible. But what do you want from me? Mom dropped it. You bought a nice house. We think you should sell it to help Jessica pay off these debts. I stared at her like she'd grown a second head. Mom continued, you can get another house. Jessica and Derek could get hurt if they don't pay. I looked around at all of them. These people who'd abandoned me for 6 years. Who'd never called to see if I was alive or dead. Let me get this straight, I said slowly, my voice getting colder. You kicked me out 6 years ago because I wouldn't give Jessica money. Her business failed spectacularly. She's in debt to dangerous people. And you want me to sell my house to bail her out? Family helps family, Dad said with a straight face. You told me I wasn't family anymore. Remember? Jessica was crying harder. I know we messed up, but this is different. These people aren't going to sue us. They're going to hurt us. Maybe you should have thought about that before borrowing from loan sharks. Derek got angry. You have no idea what pressure we're under. You're right, but I noticed 2 very expensive cars outside. Maybe start by selling those. We need those cars for work? Jessica snapped. The circular logic made my head spin. They wanted me to destroy my financial security while refusing to make any sacrifices themselves. Mom got in my face. If you sold your house, you could pay off Jessica's debts and still have enough for an apartment. I was really angry now. I worked my ass off for that house. I lived like a monk for years. I'm not selling it for Jessica's mess.
She's your sister,
Dad said. She's also a grown woman who made her own bad choices. Jessica jumped up. You're supposed to help me. You're supposed to care about me. Where was this family loyalty 6 years ago when you all told me to leave? Mom said, that was different. No. You didn't want to help me keep my money then. And I don't want to help with your financial problems now. The room went silent. Everyone stared at me like I was the villain. I'm not doing this, I finally said. Jessica got herself into this mess. She can get herself out. If you want to help so badly, sell your house and give her the money. Mom gasped. This is the only house we have. We're old. We can't start over. Then I guess you understand exactly how I feel about mine. I left them sitting there and drove home feeling lighter than I had in years. Things were peaceful for about a week. Michael called every day, supportive as always. They can't just show up after 6 years and demand you fix their problems. You did the right thing. I felt pretty good about my decision. Sure, I felt bad Jessica was in trouble. But that wasn't my fault or responsibility. Then Tuesday morning, everything changed. I was making coffee when I heard a car door slam. I looked out the window and saw my parents marching up my driveway like they owned the place. What are you doing here? I asked at the door. How did you get my address? Mom looked proud. Jessica hired a private investigator. Are you serious? They pushed past me into my house. I was so shocked I just stood there. Mom walked around my living room touching things, examining everything like she was doing a real estate appraisal. If you sold this house, you could easily pay off Jessica's debt and still have plenty left. I already told you I'm not selling. Look at all this space, Dad said, spreading his arms. It's just you here. You don't need all this. What I need is none of your business. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Jessica's terrified. These men called her yesterday. They know where she is. They said if they don't get their money by month's end, something bad will happen. Maybe Jessica should go to the police. The police can't help with people like this, Dad said. I was getting angrier by the second. That's still not my problem. You both need to leave now. We're not leaving until you agree to help your sister, Mom said, crossing her arms. Then I'm calling the police. I pulled out my phone. Dad grabbed my arm. Don't be stupid. Let go of me. I shook him off. I'm calling them right now if you don't get out. They could tell I was serious. Mom started crying harder. Fine. But this isn't over. If something happens to Jessica, it's on you. After they left, I called the realtor I'd been talking to about selling my house to move in with Michael. Hi, it's me. Remember we discussed listing my house? I need to sell fast. I'm willing to take 5% less if it speeds things up. Interesting timing. I actually have a buyer looking in your area. With that discount, I think he'd be very interested. 3 days later, I had an offer. Lower than expected, but reasonable for a quick sale. I accepted immediately. Michael was confused when I told him. Why the rush? I explained my parents' unwelcome visit, their threats, their refusal to leave. I don't trust them. I'm worried they'll keep harassing me, maybe do something crazy. I'd rather sell and put the money somewhere safe where they can't see it or use it against me. That's probably smart. And hey, this means you can move here sooner than we planned. For the first time in days, I smiled. Are you okay with me staying at your place while I look for a house in your area? Are you kidding? I've been hoping you'd move here. Michael drove out to help me pack. Within a week of closing, all the paperwork was done. The house was officially sold. As we loaded the last boxes into the moving truck, I looked back at the house one more time. I'd been truly happy there. I'd worked incredibly hard to afford it. But I felt good about selling. I was starting fresh with Michael, and my family couldn't use my house as emotional blackmail anymore. You okay? Michael asked, putting his arm around me. I'm perfect. Let's go. We drove away together, and I felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders. Whatever happened with Jessica and her debt problems wasn't going to involve me or my money. Living with Michael was fantastic. His place was comfortable and welcoming. Working remotely let me settle into a routine quickly. We spent evenings looking at houses online and planning our future together. For the first time in months, I felt truly happy and stress-free. I'd been with Michael about a month when my phone rang one Tuesday morning. Unknown none, but with my old hometown area code. Is this speaking? Yes. Who's calling? This is Officer Martinez from the Lincoln Police Department. I'm calling about an incident involving your parents. My heart stopped. What kind of incident? They were arrested last night for breaking and entering and property destruction. The homeowner wants to press charges. Is 912 Oak Drive a house you used to own? I sold that house a month ago. What were my parents doing there? That's what we're trying to figure out. They caused significant damage. Destroyed furniture, broke windows, spray-painted obscenities on the walls. The new owner came home to find them in his living room smashing his coffee table with a baseball bat. I sat down hard on Michael's couch, legs suddenly unable to support me. Are you serious? Very serious. The damage is estimated around $50,000. Your parents claim they thought it was still your house, that you'd wronged them somehow. They said they were getting back at you for abandoning your family. I told Officer Martinez everything. Jessica's debts, them showing up uninvited at my house, the entire 6-year family drama. He listened patiently and took notes. So they didn't know you'd sold the house? Obviously not. They probably went to vandalize my property for not giving Jessica money. Instead they destroyed some innocent person's home. After I hung up, I told Michael what happened. He was as shocked as I was. That's insane. They could have been shot. What if the homeowner was armed? I hadn't even considered that. My parents could have been killed over this stupid vendetta. Over the next few weeks, I got regular updates from the police and mutual friends back home. My parents faced serious criminal charges, but their lawyer worked out a plea deal. To avoid jail time, they pleaded guilty and had to pay full restitution to the homeowner. My friend Laura called a few weeks later with the full story. Your parents had to sell their house. They couldn't afford the restitution any other way. It cost close to $70,000 total, $50,000 for property damage, plus legal fees and court costs. The irony was staggering. They'd sold the house they claimed was their only asset, the one they said they were too old to replace. And after paying everything, they gave the remaining money to Jessica for her debt problems. They'd ended up doing exactly what they demanded I do, but with their own house instead of mine. Here's the thing though. Laura continued. Jessica lied about being in physical danger. Her creditor problems weren't as scary as she made them sound. They were just a legitimate investment firm threatening to sue her. No broken kneecaps. No mysterious accidents. Just regular legal action. So Jessica had manipulated everyone, including our parents, into believing her life was in danger when she was really just facing a normal lawsuit. From what I hear, things aren't going well. Your parents are now living with Jessica and Derek in a small 2-bedroom apartment. All 4 of them crammed together. Lots of fighting and tension. After a few months, I heard through the grapevine that my family was trying to reach me through mutual friends. They wanted to apologize, explain themselves, rebuild our relationship. Every time it came up, I declined. Laura called me one more time about it. Your mom asked me to tell you she's sorry. She said they realized they handled everything wrong, made terrible mistakes. It's too late for apologies. They spent 6 years not caring if I was alive or dead. Then they demanded I bankrupt myself for Jessica's mistakes. Then they committed actual crimes because I refused. I'm done. But they're family. Family doesn't abandon you for 6 years then show up demanding money. Family doesn't hire private investigators to stalk you. Family doesn't break into houses with baseball bats because they don't get their way. Michael had been listening to my side of the conversation. When I hung up, he gently squeezed my hand. You okay? I'm perfect, actually. And I was. We'd found a house we both loved and were about to make an offer. I was doing exceptionally well at work, even got a promotion. Most importantly, I no longer had to deal with their endless drama. Michael smiled at me with that look that still made my heart skip. Speaking of the house we love, I was thinking about making a bigger offer than just on the house. He got down on one knee there in his living room and pulled out a ring box. Will you marry me? We can buy that house together and start our real life. The one we've been dreaming about. I started crying happy tears.
Yes.
Absolutely yes. We got engaged that day and put an offer on the house that weekend. Our offer was accepted right away. We're planning to get married next year in the backyard of our new home. Sometimes I have moments of doubt. Did I do the right thing? Should I have helped Jessica? Those moments usually last about 30 seconds. Then I remember how peaceful my life is now without their constant manipulation. Jessica created her own problems through terrible business decisions and an inability to learn from mistakes. My parents chose to enable her destructive behavior, instead of letting her face natural consequences. They all chose to harass and threaten me, instead of dealing with their issues like adults. When I refused to be manipulated, they chose to commit actual crimes. I chose differently. I chose to build a life with someone who loves and supports me unconditionally. I chose to protect my financial security and mental health. I chose to surround myself with people who don't try to manipulate me or treat me like a walking ATM. Michael and I are deep into wedding planning now. We're talking about possibly having kids someday. Dreaming about the garden we want to plant next spring. My career is thriving in ways I never imagined. I wake up every day feeling genuinely happy and at peace. None of this would have been possible if I'd let my family drag me back into their mess, sacrificing my future for their dysfunction. So no, I don't regret cutting them off. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally are actually the ones in place the most impossible conditions on that love. Walking away from toxic family members can be the most loving thing you do for yourself and your future. The hardest boundaries we create are often the ones that ultimately set us free. And freedom, I've discovered, is worth every sacrifice it takes to get there.